Imagine you finally get that corner office promotion, the one you've been chasing for a decade. But instead of, like, popping champagne or celebrating with your family.
Right, doing the whole victory lap.
Yeah, exactly. Your very first thought is just, I am way too tired to deal with the extra emails.
Oh, yeah. That hits a little too close to home for a lot of people.
It really does, because if the traditional markers of success, the titles, the raises, the prestige, if they suddenly feel less like a reward and more like a trap, you aren't ungrateful.
No, not at all.
And you certainly aren't alone. So today's deep dive is exploring an entirely new way of looking at this widespread exhaustion.
Because it is everywhere right now.
It is. We are pulling from the training frameworks of Dr. Christophe DeLong at Conexa Formation, and we're diving into this fascinating concept he calls somatic motivation. So the mission for this deep dive is to explore a pretty radical idea. What if your burnout or, your sheer apathy toward your career isn't a mindset problem at all?
Right. What if it's not just you needing to, like, watch more motivational videos or whatever?
Exactly. What if it is fundamentally a biology and biomechanics problem?
And that right there is, it's a complete paradigm shift from how corporate culture normally operates.
Yeah.
Because Dr. DeLong's background is actually in physical and rehabilitation medicine.
Oh, interesting. Not like business management.
Exactly, no. He's applying the hard science of the human body directly to the modern workplace. And to understand why we are all hitting this wall, the source material establishes the core equation of modern burnout. It's basically that the cost of your work, your effort, your stress, your time has become significantly greater than the benefits.
Because the benefits themselves are now seen as, well, devalued, right?
Yeah.
Or highly uncertain.
Right, or frankly, just toxic.
Yeah.
The daily psychic wear and tear is drastically outpacing the financial compensation or the social prestige you might get.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I love looking at it through a physical lens. It immediately makes me think of hardware versus software.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like trying to run a high-end, incredibly demanding 3D rendering program on, like, a 10-year-old laptop with a degraded battery.
It's just going to crash.
Right. It doesn't matter how brilliant or optimized the software is. The hardware is literally going to force an emergency shutdown just to protect itself from overheating.
That is exactly it. The hardware is absolutely failing under the demands of the modern operating system. But, to figure out a solution, we have to look back at why the old rewards software updates. In your analogy, why they suddenly stopped keeping the machine running. And the framework points to a phenomenon called accelerated time.
Accelerated time. Because, 50 years ago, the promise of a gold watch and a pension was enough to keep someone working at the same desk for their entire life.
Right. People just stayed put.
So something obviously broke that social contract.
Well, yeah. The old motivational model was built entirely on a stable, predictable future. The whole logic of the deferred reward only really works if the future is guaranteed, right?
Right. You endure the stress today and you get the corner office in 5 years.
Exactly. The path was a straight line, and you could see the destination clearly. But technological, social, and economic acceleration has it shattered that straight line.
Yeah.
The future is now this winding, hyper-fast, completely foggy road.
You can't even predict if, like, artificial intelligence is going to make your entire industry obsolete in 3 years, let alone guess what your specific job title is going to be.
Exactly. And human neurobiology hates that level of temporal uncertainty. Because the brain can no longer reliably predict the future, it actively rejects those long-term institutional promises.
It just gives up on them.
Yeah, your nervous system is incredibly pragmatic. It basically decides it won't invest vital metabolic energy into a future self that might not even exist in this context. Instead, the brain demands a return on investment right now. It wants immediate, tangible proof that effort yields a reward.
So it's canceling the 10-year subscription plan and demanding pay-as-you-go.
Yes. Perfect way to put it. And what's fascinating here is how this overwhelming uncertainty forces us to retreat to the only territory that actually remains stable.
Which is what?
The only thing you can truly rely on when the 5-year career plan vanishes is your own physical body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the body is the ultimate reality. It offers instant, undeniable gains. If you execute a physical action that benefits your biology, you immediately feel a surge of energy. You instantly experience sharper mental clarity. The return is immediate and, most importantly, guaranteed.
Wait, okay, here's where it gets really interesting, but I have to push back on this a little.
Go for it.
Because if the body is our only stable anchor for immediate reward, most of us are in serious trouble. I'm guessing a lot of you listening right now are folded like a pretzel over a laptop.
Guilty as charged.
Right. Or hunched over a steering wheel. Are you telling me my lack of ambition, like my literal career drive, is being destroyed just because I'm slouching at my desk?
It sounds crazy, I know.
It sounds a bit reductive. How does a tight back muscle communicate with my ambition?
It communicates through what the research calls a metabolic short circuit, and it is devastatingly effective. A physical lock in your back acts as a massive drain on your motivation through three invisible mechanisms.
Okay, lay them on me.
First, bad posture hijacks your proprioceptive loop. So proprioception is basically your nervous system's ability to sense your body's location and movement in space.
Okay.
When your spine is locked out of its natural alignment, your strained muscles constantly fire these distress signals up the spinal cord directly to the brain.
So keeping with the computer analogy, it's like having a bunch of background error messages constantly popping up, eating up all your RAM.
Exactly that. Those constant alarm bells completely monopolize the prefrontal cortex, which, is the part of your brain responsible for complex decision-making, focus, and long-term planning.
Wow. Your brain is literally distracted by your own back muscles all day long.
Yeah, without you even realizing it.
I never thought of muscle tension as a cognitive distraction. It makes sense, though. So if my RAM is tied up with my lower back, I'm guessing the second mechanism has to do with my battery life.
You nailed it. It's an invisible energy cost. Maintaining a dysfunctional, slouched posture forces your muscles to work constantly against gravity in ways they aren't anatomically designed to.
Yeah, because you're leaning forward all the time.
Yeah, so it generates this continuous, heavy metabolic expense.
Yeah.
You are burning caloric and mental energy just trying to hold your heavy head up while staring at a screen.
Yeah.
And that is finite energy you now cannot use for your actual work or creative problem solving.
So my processing power is hijacked. My battery is draining faster just to sit still. I'm guessing the third mechanism is the brain finally just throwing its hands up and shutting down the desire to work entirely.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
You're hitting on the most crucial factor for motivation here, which is reward inhibition.
Reward inhibition.
Yeah. Chronic physical tension and the resulting micropain disrupt your dopaminergic circuits. And dopamine is the chemical driver of anticipation and motivation. When your body is constantly tense, your brain enters what Dr. DeLong's framework calls postural survival mode.
Postural survival mode. That sounds intense.
It is. Your nervous system actually believes you are under physical threat. And in the state of survival, the brain physically shuts down the circuits of positive anticipation. It literally cannot anticipate a positive outcome.
That is mind-blowing. The brain doesn't care about a quarterly bonus when it thinks the spine is in mortal danger.
Exactly.
So my bad posture is biologically blocking my capacity to feel hope about my job.
It is.
So how do we fix this? Please tell me I don't need like a $2,000 standing desk and a 2-hour yoga routine every single morning.
Thankfully, no. The framework provides very specific 3-minute postural liberation protocols that are actually designed for the office.
Oh, nice. 3 minutes I can do.
Right. So for the cervical spine and the neck, it involves slow, deliberate rotations, lateral tilts, and chin retractions. Imagine pulling your chin straight back to give yourself a double chin.
Oh, yeah, the classic double chin stretch.
Exactly, versus that forward head screen posture. Then for the thoracic area, the mid-back, it's about opening the rib cage like a book and extending the spine to release all that accumulated tension in the chest.
Because we're always collapsed inward.
Right. And for the lumbar region, the lower back, it's just simple pelvic rotations and alternating flexion and extension while seated.
Wait, doing those basic movements for just 3 minutes? That feels almost too simple to fix a problem as massive as chronic burnout.
The simplicity is kind of the point, but the data behind it is striking. By consciously integrating these movements, the expected result is a reduction of your daily invisible energy costs by 30 to 40%.
Wait, really? 30 to 40%? Just by like rolling my shoulders, tucking my chin, and moving my pelvis?
Yes. You essentially plug the massive metabolic leak. And by reducing that physical drain, you instantly free up that exact same energy to be deployed for professional engagement, resilience, and mental clarity.
Okay, that 30% energy savings is incredible if you're just sitting quietly in your cubicle.
Sure.
But let's look at the reality of the modern workplace. You do your 3-minute spine routine, you feel fantastic, and then, your boss storms in and demands an impossible deadline, sparking a massive argument.
Yeah, that happened.
Your posture isn't going to save you from that sudden adrenaline spike.
How do we stop the energy drain in real time when the environment itself is actively hostile?
Right. That brings us to the neurobiology of workplace conflict. Because a tense meeting isn't just an exchange of difficult words, it is a violent physiological event. When you feel threatened at work, your body triggers a cascade of reactions, primarily spiking your cortisol levels.
Cortisol, the famous stress hormone. We know it's bad, but what is it actually doing to the brain in that specific moment? Well, chronically elevated cortisol is devastating to your cognitive architecture. The framework points out that it inhibits neurogenesis in the hippocampus.
Okay, to translate for those of us without medical degrees, the hippocampus is the memory and learning center, right? So cortisol is essentially burning down the library.
That's a perfect analogy. Yes, it destroys your capacity to learn and retain new information. It also wrecks your sleep architecture, which prevents biological recovery. But more immediately, in that meeting, it forces your autonomic nervous system into a sympathetic state.
The classic fight or flight mode.
Exactly. And when you are in fight or flight, your brain actively diverts blood flow away from the prefrontal cortex. It literally reduces your capacity for complex, creative, and empathetic thought because you are running on pure defensive reaction.
Which makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint, right? If I'm running from a bear, I don't need to creatively problem solve. I just need my legs to move fast.
Right. Don't think, just run.
But in a boardroom, losing your capacity for complex thought is a professional disaster.
It really is. Managing a conflict while in a state of high physiological tension consumes immense cognitive and emotional energy. So the key to surviving modern work is learning how to manually switch tracks. You have to move your biology from that sympathetic fight or flight system over to the parasympathetic rest and digest system.
And according to the source material, the master switch for that system is the vagus nerve.
Yes. The vagus nerve is the main conductor of the parasympathetic system. It runs all the way from your brainstem down through your facial muscles, your vocal cords, your heart, and directly into your gut.
Wow, so it touches everything.
It does. And activating it pulls you out of defensive mode and restores your complex thinking. The framework actually outlines a 90-second emergency protocol you can use to stimulate the vagus nerve right before a high-stakes situation.
Oh, give us the breakdown. If I'm heading into a terrifying performance review, what is my 90-second routine?
Okay, the first step is diaphragmatic breathing, using a 1-to-2 ratio. This means your exhale must be twice as long as your inhale. So if you breathe in for 4 seconds, you exhale deeply and slowly for 8 seconds.
And what does that do?
That extended exhale acts as a mechanical brake on your heart rate, which instantly signals safety to the vagus nerve.
Okay, got it. What's step 2?
Second is facial stimulation. Engaging in lateral eye movements, just looking side to side and forming an authentic smile. That mechanically shifts neurological signals toward safety. And the third step, which surprises a lot of people, is low-frequency vocalization.
Wait, like humming. I always thought the vagus nerve was mostly in the gut.
Well, it connects the gut to the brain, but it passes directly through the larynx in your throat. So humming or singing in a low register physically vibrates the vocal cords, which literally massages and stimulates the vagus nerve.
I absolutely love the visual of this. So next time you're taking the elevator up to a terrifying meeting, you can just spend 90 seconds humming a low tune, keeping a half smile on your face, and taking these long, slow exhales.
Yep, that's the protocol.
You are literally rewiring your biochemistry to project calm and retain your intelligence before you even touch the boardroom door handle.
And it works. Because the physical state you create on that elevator ride dictates your performance in the room. The sources actually discuss this through the lens of embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition.
Yeah, it's the scientifically backed idea that your posture doesn't just reflect your internal mood. It actually manufactures it. They call it corporeal charisma.
Corporeal charisma. I like that.
If you adopt an expansive posture, so dropping your shoulders, opening your sternum, aligning your head over your spine, you aren't just faking confidence. You are physically increasing your testosterone, which is the hormone of assertion and risk tolerance, while simultaneously lowering your cortisol.
So you are basically building biological credibility on the spot.
Exactly.
But okay, this brings up a glaring contradiction that I know people are thinking about right now.
With that,
Well, we're talking about honoring the body, right? Sleeping well, lowering cortisol. But modern work culture worships the exact opposite.
true.
Look at the iconic tech bro founders, the Elon Musks or Sam Altmans of the world. The mythology there is that they achieve civilization-level success by sleeping under their desks, working 100-hour reps, and surviving on sheer willpower alone.
Right, the hustle culture.
Yeah. So if somatic balance is the key to motivation, how are these guys seemingly conquering the world while completely ignoring their biology?
Well, the framework directly dismantles this mythology. It actually calls it the illusion of the disembodied model. We see these figures, and we assume their secret is transcending human biology, that they treat their bodies as obstacles to be conquered. But that is a complete illusion.
Wait, so they aren't just running on fumes and ambition?
Far from it. Trying to imitate their extreme output without their specific resources will just lead you straight to a hospital bed.
Fair point.
Their massive engagement is actually built on a highly optimized, extremely rigid management of their own vitality. They aren't ignoring their bodies at all. They are using unconventional levers.
Like what kind of levers?
Things like hyper-scheduled micro-recoveries, precise neurochemical diet optimization, perhaps cold plunges or advanced supplementation. They are maximizing a very specific biological state. So the lesson isn't to ignore your need for sleep. The lesson is to find and optimize your own somatic intensity.
But most of us don't have, personal chefs or the budget for hyperbaric oxygen chambers to optimize our vitality.
Right, definitely not.
So how does the average person actually train their biology to handle the intense demands of modern work without breaking down?
The answer is universally accessible, actually, sport and physical training.
Just working out.
Yes, but the source makes a vital distinction here. Sport isn't just a fun metaphor for working hard. It is literal neurobiological training for the nervous system. When you exercise, you are teaching your brain to endure effort without an immediate external reward.
Because nobody is waiting at the squat rack to hand you a bonus check when you finish your set.
Exactly. You're training your brain to decouple effort from instant institutional gratification.
Wow.
And it builds resilience through 3 pillars of transfer. First is progressive discipline. You learn to embrace incremental gains taking the stairs instead of the elevator, moving from a 10-pound weight to a 15-pound weight.
Right, small steps.
This ability to fractionate goals transfers directly to managing massive long-term work projects without getting overwhelmed.
That makes total sense. And the second pillar? I'm guessing it has to do with replacing that bonus check with something else?
It's the generation of endogenous reward.
So producing your own internal gold stars.
Yes, exactly. You learn that you can generate your own value, a rush of endorphins, a genuine sense of accomplishment, physical vitality, completely outside of what your boss or your company thinks of you.
That's incredibly freeing.
It is. And the third pillar is resilience to discomfort. Physical training teaches your brain to distinguish between productive discomfort, which is the necessary burn of a muscle adapting and growing, and destructive suffering, which is the sharp, damaging pain of an actual injury.
And learning to navigate and lean into productive discomfort is basically an essential survival skill for modern work.
100%. And the hard statistics in the research about what regular physical training actually does to the brain's hardware are just staggering.
Oh, I love the data. What are the numbers?
Engaging in regular physical training leads to a 68% increase in dopamine sensitivity.
68%.
Yeah. It also causes a 35% reduction in baseline cortisol. And it boosts neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to wire new connections, and learn by 42%.
A 68% increase in dopamine sensitivity. I mean, that means your brain is literally 68% more capable of feeling motivated, anticipating rewards, and generating ambition simply because you put your body under physical tension.
Exactly. You are chemically upgrading the hardware.
It is the most direct intervention you can make.
It really is.
Okay, let's map this out. So we fix our posture to stop the invisible energy leaks.
Check.
We learn to stimulate the vagus nerve to survive daily stressors without burning down the hippocampus.
Check.
We use physical training to permanently upgrade our dopamine sensitivity.
Right.
So we have all this incredible physical energy and resilience locked in. But you still need a target to aim at. I mean, you can have a fully charged, perfectly optimized laptop, but if you don't have a program you actually want to run, what's the point?
You're just staring at a blank screen.
Exactly. How do we sustain this over a decade without eventually burning out from sheer boredom?
That requires a fundamental shift in how we define the why of our work. The source outlines a practice of defining a personal benefit for every task you do.
Personal benefit.
Yeah. The goal is to transform an external constraint, something you are forced to do by your boss, into an internal gain of vitality.
Okay, I need a really grounded example for this because if I'm stuck doing like a mindless 50-page spreadsheet telling myself I'm doing it for the company's vision, it's just going to make me want to quit.
And it should, because
Yeah.
that's an external, uncertain reward. We already established the brain hates those.
Right.
The somatic approach is to completely reframe the physical and mental act. So you tell yourself, I am using this mindless spreadsheet as a literal focus training exercise for my own brain. I am going to treat this like holding a mental plank for 30 minutes. I am using this tedious task to build my own mental stamina and my capacity for deep work.
Oh, I love that. You're making the task serve you.
Exactly.
You get to keep the mental stamina you built, even if you quit the job tomorrow.
You anchor the effort in your own development. And to build a true 10-year motivation plan, the framework highlights one final, crucial biological shift. Over the long term, you must transition your drive from dopamine to oxytocin.
Wait, hold on. We've been talking about dopamine as the ultimate motivation chemical this whole time. Why are we abandoning it?
Well, we aren't abandoning it, but dopamine is fundamentally about the individual. It's the I want circuit.
Okay.
It drives the acquisition of resources, titles, and personal victories. It is fantastic for short-term, intense drive. But it always burns out over a timeline of decades because there's only so much you can individually acquire.
It's the hedonic treadmill.
Exactly. So to build lasting, sustainable motivation, you have to tap into oxytocin. That is the hormone of attachment, bonding, and social connection. It's the we are circuit.
So how does the We Are circuit apply to, like, a 10-year career plan?
True longevity in a career comes from moving beyond personal performance and entering the realm of altruism, mentorship, and meaning. It comes from passing on your skills to younger colleagues, from contributing to a collective impact, and from creating a legacy that outlasts your own individual resume. The biological reward of oxytocin is far more durable than the fleeting spike of dopamine.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to map out the next 10 years of your life? It means you can chart out your networking goals, your skill acquisitions, your promotions.
Right, all that stuff is fine.
But the foundation of that 10-year map must include uncompromising biological non-negotiables. You cannot sustain the journey without 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. You need stable nutrition to keep your energy baseline flat. You need regular physical movement to maintain your dopamine sensitivity, and authentic social connection to generate that oxytocin.
Exactly. Without those physical pillars, the entire map eventually collapses.
Because without them, the biological cost of the work will always eventually outweigh the professional benefit.
100%.
Let's bring this all together. The core message from Dr. DeLong's framework is just incredibly empowering, I think. Motivation is not a magical character trait.
No, it's not.
It is not something you are either born with or you aren't. And it is certainly not just about having the right mindset or watching enough inspirational videos. Motivation is a physiological state.
That is the key takeaway.
If you are feeling unmotivated, disconnected, or burned out, stop beating yourself up mentally. Start by looking at your body. Unlock your spine. Take a deep breath where your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. Find the immediate, tangible, physical return in your daily effort.
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to realize that for decades, corporate culture has treated human bodies like simple machines, resources to be extracted from until they are empty.
Yeah.
And treating our physical selves that way is exactly what has broken our minds. True engagement, authentic drive, and lasting ambition, they all start with somatic balance.
It fundamentally changes how you look at yourself and how you look at the people around you, which leaves me with a final lingering question for you to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
Let's hear it.
If our ambition, our resilience, and our very capacity to care about our work are entirely bound by our physical biology, how much of what we call our personality or our work ethic is actually just an expression of a regulated or dysregulated nervous system?
That is a deep thought.
Are there really lazy people in the world? Or just millions of brilliant people trapped in postural survival mode, trying desperately to run their lives on a laptop with a dying battery?